Whoa, a long-form Dragon Ball video. I don't think I've done that yet. But anyways, we are talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 and things that we might see in it. And I don't mean from like your CAC or like any new characters or DLC or anything like that. We are talking about story events on maybe what happened to the main cast during this, because an important note about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is that takes place in Age 1000, which is the exact same time that Toriyama's old MMO Dragon Ball Online took place, which gave us a bunch of different story, like what happened to the characters and how they died and who's alive and all that. And I think it might be possible that we see some of this stuff happen. With some of this stuff, it's pretty easy to say what happened to some characters. Like, we see Bulma is still alive and kicking here in Xenoverse 3, and we see Piccolo still in all of his aura farming glory. And it's important to know that Piccolo is still alive. He's also still alive in Age 1000 in Dragon Ball Online as well, so that's not too much of an important note. There is something I am particularly interested to see if they take it from Dragon Ball Online, and this event in Dragon Ball Online happens before Age 1000. It's what happens to Goku and Vegeta. I don't exactly remember what age they do this in. I'm pretty sure it's age 700 something, and it's that Goku senses that him and Vegeta are getting older and starting to start their rapid aging increase. And I think that in this case, they could do this in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. And what happens after Goku notices that is he gets Vegeta and they fly off. They go to another planet to have one last duel. And I think this event being in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, even if it's not like a playable thing, because I don't think they would do that, is just hear about Goku and Vegeta facing one last round. And after they fight, everybody on Earth sees a supernova in the distance, which is the last impact from their battle. The next pair of characters I think would be interesting to see are Trunks and Goten. We don't see one in Dragon Ball Online. They open up a sorry, it's unscripted. They open up a sword fighting school, and it's really funny because Trunks in the future obviously wields a sword, but it's interesting seeing Goten also being a sword teacher, which makes me wonder that if Goten replace future Trunks, like a future Goten, if he would also wield a sword. But they opened up a sword fighting school, and I think that would be really interesting to see or hear about in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. I think it's pretty safe to say that Dende is still alive in Xenoverse 3, considering Piccolo's alive and being much older than Dende, and Dende also being a Namekian. And I'm pretty sure Roshi is also alive in Dragon Ball Online, but we see in Dragon Ball Super that he has the herbs that he eats that keeps him from dying from old age. So I think that fairly makes sense that Roshi is still alive and kicking. That makes perfect sense to me if he is. I forgot if he lived in Dragon Ball Online or not, but the next interesting set of characters, I think, though, are Krillin and Tien. Krillin, is the new I think it's called, the Neo, Turtle Hermit, school, or I don't know if it's a school or something, but he teaches people the Turtle Hermit way, which makes me think that maybe Roshi's not alive. I forgot if he was or not. This is purely unscripted, no research, no script. This is just from what I remember. And Tien opens up the Neo Crane School, where he teaches the teachings of the old Crane School, where he was initially trained before fighting Goku for the 22nd Takeichi Budokai. And it's also interesting in itself because, well, I think Krillin's more so interesting for it because, in Dragon Ball Super, we see, like, Krillin's not really doing the most training anymore. He's a police officer. So if it sort of happens in 3, it would be, even though, like, the games aren't canon to, like, our main Dragon Ball Super storyline right now, it would just be cool to see Krillin do it anyway. And then Tien actually makes a lot of sense. We see in Super before the Tournament of Power that Tien has his own dojo that he trains people at, so that makes perfect sense if he opens the Neo Crane School, stuff like that. And that's really all for characters that I find interesting that we might see, like an event we might hear about in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. I like that Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 takes place at the same time as Dragon Ball Online. I feel like it would be a waste not to take things from Dragon Ball Online, considering you made this in the same age as Dragon Ball Online. You might be wondering why I didn't mention the revival of the Red Ribbon Army, even though I'm pretty sure it's called something different, and the attack of the Frieza Force and the Red Ribbon Army teaming up with the Mira and Toa in Dragon Ball Online, and that's personally because I don't really find either of those two interesting. How in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 currently we have a whole event thing that happens sometimes where Frieza's ship travels through a portal and you have to fend off his soldiers. For the Red Ribbon Army thing, I don't think we're gonna see that in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. I think Fu's gonna be the main villain and not stuff like Mira and Toa, in which that Red Ribbon Army worked with. If you don't know, like, the Red Ribbon Army was rebuilt, and they're one of the weaker nations in Dragon Ball Online, but in stuff like Dragon Ball Heroes and all that, they work with Mira and Toa, but seeing as Mira and Toa were defeated for good, or possibly for good, in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, highly doubt this is likely. It's probably gonna either be Fu or somebody new that does it. That has a bunch of villain stuff, but I don't think it's entirely impossible, I guess, for them. But that's it. Tell me what you think will happen story-wise related, or if we hear about the characters that aren't alive anymore in Dragon Ball Age 1000. Let me know. Make sure to like and subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. See you all in another Dragon Ball video. This has been DB Neo out.